Good morning. I want to welcome you to another segment of the Jermaine Brown Political Talk Show. Today is Monday, October the 31st, 2016. Before I get started, I get ready to fly back to New York. I'm currently right now in the great state of North Carolina. I call this my home away from home. When I want to get out of the hustle and bustle of the city, I like to come down for some tranquility, some good food, relaxing down here in North Carolina. It's all good. But a lot has taken place since my last show. I had mentioned that I thought that the big news, the news that would have officially sunk Donald Trump's campaign, was going to be about Donald Trump breaking the U.S. Cuba embargo agreement back in the 90s, late 90s. But a lot has actually happened since then. There was this videotape from 2005 where he was on this bus with a guy by the name of Billy Bush. Yes, that Billy Bush is related to the Bush family, George W. Bush, Jeb Bush and stuff. Well, anyway, where he was talking about grabbing women by their body parts and forcing himself on them by kissing them, and basically he was bragging about sexually assaulting women. And that to me takes even bigger news that's actually bigger news than the U.S. Cuba embargo agreement, because that's damaging in and of itself, especially to Cubans down there in Florida. But this one is even worse because now this affects women across the whole United States. I mean, this is a guy, once that video broke, that proves he cannot be president of the United States. Because when you're president of the United States, see, first of all, a lot of people have the misunderstanding of thinking that the presidents have all these powers and stuff, and the presidents can do this and the presidents can do that. First of all, the presidents can't do 90% of what they campaign on. They cannot do 90% of that without the approval of Congress. So let's just say there somehow, some way, Donald Trump became president of the United States. There will not be no wall built, because even he admitted he needs to get congressional approval on it, especially in the last few weeks when he says, well, Congress will have to sign off on it, and then once they sign off on it, we build it, and then we're going to reimburse Mexico. Now, that's not what he said in the beginning. He just simply said Mexico was going to pay for it. But paying for something and reimbursing someone is two different things, number one. Second, Trump should know Congress can't sign off on anything because they can't agree on anything. But here's the one thing they can and will agree on. Both Democrats and Republicans, because they're both part of the same trough when you think about it. They're not going to agree to build no wall because it's politically disadvantageous to do so. It's not in their best interest to do so. The lobbying will not allow them to do so. Okay? These businesses are making a lot of money off of immigrants, Mexican immigrants, and that's not going to change. Donald Trump cannot change that. Donald Trump will not change that. So he's going to fail when it comes to the wall to begin with. That will never get built because so Mexico has nothing to worry about there. But this gets back to, again, the revelations that came out recently, or as they call them, the October surprise. Well, this was the ultimate October surprise, because once that video came out, now a whole other barrage, now he was forced to sit there and defend it. That whole other barrage of stuff came out on him. Well, women really coming out, basically saying, they're accusing him of doing this very things that he bragged about doing on this tape. Now he's spending the rest of his campaign fighting against those women. See, this is why, folks, I say the problem in the Republican Party is they have not understood and embraced the 21st century. We live in a different world today than we did yesterday, than we did the day before. The world is constantly changing and evolving. And unfortunately for the Republican Party, they have not evolved. They're running playbooks, and the Donald Trump campaign is running playbooks that really was back in the 20th, but really more in the 19th century. Pre-internet days. And that's part of the problem. This is why he's getting smoked in this general election. Where he did well in the primaries, he's getting smoked in the general election because he failed to understand that it's a different electorate. And when you break too far to the right the way he did in the primaries, you give yourself no room to shift back to the middle. And the Democrats, whatever Democrat candidate is, they're going to be smart to keep you from shifting back to the middle. So they're going to use what you say against you. Then he really compounded by his continual fighting with the media. And folks, I always say, whether it's to athletes, entertainers, whatever it is, the media is not your friend. But you don't want to make them your enemy. Because if you make them your enemy, that's a fight you're not going to win. Guaranteed. Because at the end of the day, the media influences the opinions and the minds of people. Because whether you read the papers, assuming people read papers today, or go online, everybody, is got an opinion formed of what they read and hear. Now, today, with the access to the internet, everybody's their own media critic now. So they don't really need the media per se, but the one thing you don't want to do is piss off the media. Because there's this thing called opposition research. They can research things and nail you with it. Because if Trump was a likable guy, let's say he wasn't a jerk-off, because we want to keep this clean. He wasn't a jerk-off. Let's say he was a real likable guy, sincere, this, that, and the other. That tape from 2005 never surfaces. Never would have surfaced. At least not during the election. It would not have surfaced. Why? Because they would have buried it. When the media likes you, they tend to help you. When they don't like you, they can hurt you. This is fact, folks. Okay? See, because they really hate Trump, that's why a lot of stuff news that would normally have hurt Hillary is not hurting her. Because the media is not going to cover it, because why? Trump is the biggest story. Trump is the bigger news. This is why he's what you would call an attention whore. He loves attention. Well, it's that very attention that has gone against him now. It's that very attention that has killed his campaign. And Hillary did the smartest thing that the other 16 candidates in the Republican Party didn't do. Let Trump have the attention. Make it about Trump. Trump, you want the attention? You got it. But now, unfortunately for them, they couldn't do it. But Hillary was able to. Just sit back and let Trump talk. Because the more a man talks, he's going to say something that he should not say. It's just fact. This is why she let him talk, let him talk, let him talk. You want the attention? You got it. You got it. You can have it. Now, there's only 8 days to go before the election. Okay? Because the election is next Tuesday. My belief is she wins. She gets 320 to 25. 320 to 325 electoral votes. College votes. That's what I'm going to predict. Okay? She's going to win this election. That I am certain of. But I'm going to predict she's going to get anywhere from 320 to 325. Because I'm going to give him Ohio. And I might be off on this now, folks. But I'm just taking a shot in the dark, as they say. I'm going to give him Ohio. Because Ohio's funny like that. I'm going to give him Iowa. I'm going to say she wins Florida. She ekes out a victory in Florida. About 1 to 2 point victory in Florida. But she's going to get him in North Carolina and Arizona. She's going to get Nevada and Colorado. I do believe that North Carolina and Arizona will fall blue in this election cycle. Because, Trump was behind the 8 ball from the minute he jumped out there about Mexican being rapists. Or sending over their rapists, however he said it. He was behind the 8 ball. And what does Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona have a large contingency of? Hispanics. Mexican Americans. What does Texas, which is now he's only up by 3. And now I'm not saying she's going to win Texas. She's not going to win Texas. I think he keeps Texas. But Texas is close. Why? Well, it has a large contingency of Mexican Americans or Mexicans. He really messed up. Once he made that comment, he pretty much lost the Hispanic vote, folks. Whether he realized it or not, he lost the Hispanic vote. And if you can't do well with Hispanics, you cannot win in today's election cycle. It's just not possible, Democrat or Republican. You cannot get swamped or beat badly with the Hispanic vote that you're going to win the election. It's just not possible because there's not enough votes out there to do it, regardless of which party you're in. So this is why states like Arizona is in play. Not a lesser degree North Carolina, because even though they do have a Hispanic population, it's not as big as, say, Arizona, Nevada, and New Mexico. Okay? Or Texas. It's not nearly as big. But the reason why he's losing why he's losing in North Carolina, 2 things. Millennials. So he's getting beat here with the young voters. And it doesn't help that that North Carolina has a bad governor, Pat Corgi, how do you pronounce his name? The governor here who signed that very controversial bill, and he's been paying the price. He's paying the price. He's going to lose this election. That governor is a goner, whether he realizes it or not. Okay? You don't sign that bill. And for those who doesn't know, it was a transgender bill saying that, if you're a man, you can only be in the men's bathroom. If you're a woman, you can only be in the women's bathroom. You cannot be in the opposite bathrooms. If you're transgender, that does not play well because businesses have left the state. This is how bad it has been for Mr. Mr. McCrory, Pat McCrory. I know I eventually get his name right. He got an endorsement from a major paper. Now, you would say, okay, well, that's good. Because, hey, a good endorsement. To get an endorsement from a major paper? Yeah, but from the neighboring state. A paper from a neighboring state, Virginia. Okay? He got an endorsement from a paper from a neighboring state. Now, he's not running in that state because he's running for governor of the state of North Carolina. So he's not running in the state of Virginia. So why are you getting an endorsement from them? Because why? Here's what they said. They want to thank him because of his stupid bill, he's brought the businesses to them. Because instead of being in North Carolina, they go to Virginia. So yes, if I'm Virginia, thank you, Mr. McCrory. Now, yes, I'm endorsing you. Because why? You're helping me with your stupidity. That rhymes, by the way. You're helping me with your stupidity. So the reality is, he's a goner. So you got an unpopular guy at the top of the ticket, Donald Trump, and you got an unpopular governor here in North Carolina. That doesn't spell well if you are the Republican Party. Now, the question is not who's going to win this election cycle. Trump's not going to win. But the question is, how does the Republican Party proceed from here? Here's going to be my advice to them. You better embrace this new society. This country is not as conservative as you keep thinking it is. It's not. It's more liberal. You better start embracing that. I'm not saying you got to take on all the liberal policies and stuff. No, I'm not saying that. You can still have some conservatism in you. Fiscally being conservative. Things like that. Even some social conservatism in you. But you're going to have to stop with these ridiculous laws that you're trying to do. Okay? With these discrimination laws, that's just not going to work anymore. That's not going to work in today's time. You got to stop with this voter suppression and voter intimidation stuff. That would have worked 30, 40, 50 years ago. It will not work today. Okay? You got to start reaching out beyond the white base. You're going to have to start embracing immigration, immigrants, African American. In other words, non-whites. You're going to have to start embracing them. You're going to have to start welcoming them into your party. And you got to actually now reach out. And don't think it's impossible. No, it's not. John Kasich should have been the guy who should have been the man at the top of this ticket. They really screwed this up. And I'm talking about the Republican voters. Screwed this up royally. And the Republican Party screwed this up royally. I would have taken the nomination from Donald Trump if I was the Republican Party. He would not have been my nominee. I would have given it to John Kasich. Because, see, at the end of the day, I would have been banking on that the voters would still, and the Republican Party hates Hillary Clinton enough that they would still give Kasich their vote, though they don't like what we did. But I would have taken it from Trump because I knew Trump was a bad candidate from the word jump. Okay? And now he has turned on them. No, I think the only thing that is keeping this from being a landslide is who his opponent is, which is Hillary. I think that's the only reason why this is not a landslide of an election. But it's not going to be a close election like the media and everybody's trying. Because, see, it's the media's job to perpetrate a close election. They're going to always try to perpetrate that it's close. Because it's called ratings, folks. So they're going to lie and try to make it look close for ratings. But the reality is this election is not really close. That being said, so what the Republican Party needs to do is start becoming more inclusive, instead of exclusive. Become more inclusive. Because, see, right now the acronym for GOP, at least, is not, is not the way they want to make it seem. The real acronym is Grand Old Party. That's the best way to put it. Grand Old Party. Key emphasis on the word old. Old white males. You have got to get out of that mindset of just thinking you can win with the white vote. That worked 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago. It doesn't work today. This is why I keep talking about getting into the 21st century. That means you're going to have to come, if I was them, you may not like it, but your best bet, work with Hillary. Get a real immigration bill. Because Hispanics want an immigration bill. They want laws enforced. They're not against laws and responsible immigration. They're not against that. You'd be surprised, but they're not. Okay? Come up with a real immigration bill where people have a real way of getting citizenship without going through all these hoops, but yet knowing how to still keep out the bad guys. Okay? That would be a good start. The second start would be start embracing the African American communities. Reach out to them. Go into their communities. Find out what troubles them. What are things that they feel can be improved on. In other words, start showing and taking care because there is space there. Because a lot of Democrats feel, a lot of blacks feel that the Democratic Party only caters to them when it comes time for voting. But when after the votes is cast, it's like, all right, we'll see you in a few years, type of thing. Okay? That's how a lot of African Americans feel. So there is an opening there if the Republicans is willing to embrace them. Because a lot of African Americans, truthfully speaking, are really more conservative to begin with anyway. Because a lot of us are church folks. The church folks, especially the older folks. The church people. Okay? It's only the young that really has embrace this new way of life. Older folks, no, older folks are more stuck in their ways. But as long as you continue to show total disdain and disregard for them, and you pit one group against the other, you're not going to win that battle. As long as you try to keep them from voting, you're not going to win that battle. Okay? Stop it with that stuff. You're gonna have to start embracing. Go sit down with the young people and find out what motivates them. What fears do they have? Address their needs. This is how you become a relevant party again. And you will force the Democrats to actually do some work. Because see, right now the Democrats don't have to do work to win voters. That's the problem. Because the Republican Party's making it too easy for them. Too easy. Why do you think? Now think about it, folks. If my theory is right, and Hillary Clinton wins North Carolina and Arizona, okay? Now, the Republicans, you've already lost Virginia. Virginia used to be a red state. It's now a blue state, folks. Now you're losing Nevada, New Mexico. New Mexico is not even in play. That's a blue state now. That was traditionally a red state. Nevada is a blue state now. That was once a red state. If you notice, you're losing states. Your map is shrinking, not expanding. It's shrinking. It's only a matter of time, folks. North Carolina will be a blue state. Right now, I will still say it's a red state. But if Hillary wins this election cycle, that means North Carolina will win Democratic 2 out of the last 3 election cycles. That start making it now a purple state, which means neither party now can just claim it. But if you're going from red to purple, that means it's going in the wrong direction if you're the Republican Party. That means eventually it will become a blue state. If the Democrats start winning it often enough, it'll become a blue state. Just like its neighbor to the north, Virginia. Okay? So, and then Georgia, folks, even though I don't think Georgia will go blue in this election cycle, but Georgia eventually will become a blue state. It's because the demographics, young people. If the Democrats really fought for that state, they could have taken that state in this election cycle. I really believe that, if they had really fought for it. Luckily for the Republicans, the Democrats is reluctant to fight for things. Luckily for them. Because there is an opening that the Democrats can really wipe the Republicans off the face of the map as a party. If they would only fight for things. But since the Democrats don't, the Democrats do take a lot for granted. So there is some room there if you're the Republican Party. See, that so-called autopsy you did in 2012, now you need to blow this up and start over again. You have to become a new party, and you got to let go of that old way of thinking. You got to let go those who failed and refuse to adapt. Because I got some news for you here, folks. I don't care if it's Donald Trump in the White House or Hillary Clinton in the White House. Trade will remain here. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. TPP will be, in some form or another, will be approved. That's a guarantee, folks. Okay? Trade. TPP. Going to be approved. Guaranteed. Coal, as far as the way we used to know it, because you can talk about clean coal, dirty coal, I don't care what type of coal you talk about. Coal is becoming obsolete. New forms of energy. New forms of energy, folks. You have to adapt. This is why a lot of people in Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and all these states here, they got what is called left behind because they're in industries that don't adapt to the changing demographics and the way the world has changed. We are a global economy. This is no longer a U.S. economy. This is now considered a global economy. So you have to adapt and change. And a lot of people are resistant to change. That's why they're quote unquote upset. But they don't understand that we're not going back to the way things once was. Those day and age is over. And if you don't change, you will perish. You will perish. I want to thank you for watching another segment of the Jermaine Brown Political Talk Show. Have a nice day.